The big play, obviously, the long run by Lofton Thompson. Once again, we want to remind you the Eagles do have one home game remaining this year. That's Friday night, October the 18th at 7:30 against Harry S. Truman. We hope you'll come out to Roosevelt Field and support the Eagles that evening. Of course, with the new playoff format that's evolved over the last several years in high school, Walt, the season ends much earlier. You have to, by necessity, end your season on the first weekend in November to be eligible for postseason play. That's why the schedule is so front-loaded. Well, now that was interesting. Albie Morano was ready, but time is called by Central Bucks East.
I think Norristown was setting up for the onside kick, as you could well expect here with 2:49 left. And for some reason, East didn't look too prepared for the formation Norristown came out in. So they thought it important not to take any chances in turning the ball over right there and use one of their timeouts, which they certainly had the luxury of doing. So Norristown finally, a quick play, quick strike. 3 plays on that drive, 51 yards, only took 56 seconds. And they finally get some points on the board against the powerhouse Patriots, 31-8. You can see Norristown with all their quicker people in there. They're people with the good hands to get downfield and try and recover that ball. And this will be Albie Morano's task, if they do choose to go with the onside kick, to bounce that ball nice and high after the 10-yard mark. Of course, you can't recover it if you're the kicking team until the ball has traveled at least 10 yards. So try and get the nice high bounce and get your team underneath it.
There is the onside kick. It does take a good bounce, but it's fielded nicely by number 30, Damon Campbell, at his own 42-yard line, covers nicely, and the Patriots will take possession. I want to step back a minute, though, Walt. Did you just say all these Norristown kids are insurance agents?
Yep, they're all good hands people.
It's Allstate. Is that what it is?
Well, I'm not doing any advertisements here. For my premiums to go up. But, yeah, those are the people they had out there. And Morano's job is to get over top of that ball, try and roll it a little and get the big hop. And it looks like he caught a little bit in the middle and pounded it down the middle of the field.
So 1 tick comes off the clock, 2:48 to play. Junior Justin Habel in at quarterback again for the Patriots. Habel sets the Patriot offense. Motion, 5 yards back. So this second squad looks like it could use a little bit of a tune-up here for Central Bucks East, starting each of their 2 possessions with the ball here in this fourth quarter with a motion penalty. First and 15, line of scrimmage will be back close to the East 35-yard line. 31-8 the score. Habel with the long count. Up the middle, good tackling by Norristown. There's going to be no gain, in fact a small loss on that play. Try and get you the ball carrier in just a moment. Perhaps not. 48, I believe, is the ball carrier, Dave DeJesus. We'll call it loss of a yard on the play. Not even, less than a yard. But just for the sake of argument, we'll call it 2nd and 16. You know why?
Because Greg has no eraser?
Greg has no eraser, because he's doing his statistics in pen, the ever-confident lad that he is. And another flag. I believe we have delay of game. Yes, we do.
Sorry, Jeff. I'm distracted by the fact that the Norristown Eagle has no eyes.
And that, that's bothered me a bit, too. It's bothered me a bit. Not much personality either, but, but maybe that's brought on by by the disability.
Well, then we we better not mention the name of the individual inside that costume then, since you're taking shots such as that. But it has no eyes, and I think that's some sort of environmental problem, I believe.
I think so. I think you're right. Hable, hands off up the middle. Again, good defensive play by the Eagles. On 2nd and 20, we had a loss on the play. Timeout called by Norristown with 1:31 to go. The ball carrier that last time, I believe, was number 20, Tim O'Connor.
And Norristown has used this opportunity to get some of their substitutions. A lot of these players, junior varsity players, who suit up for the varsity game should they be needed, and certainly it's a good experience for them to get into the game and play together a little bit more than just in their games.
Now, Walt, now that you mention this, I've taken a look at the Norristown Eagle. Upon closer inspection, there are eyes. They're just overgrown with fur. I think it's probably because the costume is older. The feathers have grown, hiding the eyes, which are indeed there.
Well, again, I think it's an environmental problem. We need somebody out here to prune the eagle, perhaps. We have a prune the eagle contest.
I think the Patriots did a fine job of that tonight.
It's rather frightening. It's just rather frightening to look at.
It is a little distracting, you're right. This time, the ball carrier is Choi out the right side on 3rd and very long, and he gets very little, bringing up 4th and very long. Timeout again called by Norristown with 1:20 to play. Roger Grove looking to get the ball back again for his offense. Be 4th and 17.
And Norristown's called another timeout in the attempt to get their offense some time and run a few more plays with the first unit. So when the clock starts again, we'll have back deep for the Eagles, Bobby Davis and Jimmy Zitzer to return the Patriot punt. And Jeff, this was the Norristown's really their last opportunity to jumpstart their season. And I think what you've seen is there maybe just isn't that spark that we've seen in previous years. This was the one chance against another powerhouse team to really get things going and pick themselves up. Not only to make a statement to the league, but to pick themselves up. And I think we can just pretty much say that they've been enjoyable to watch. But this just isn't the year for them to be one of the top teams. And as we know, these things are cyclical. Except, of course, out at Central Bucks West. But these things are cyclical, and Norristown certainly will be back in the near future.
It's probably cyclical. It's just a longer peak. They're riding a 20-year peak. There's no trough.
Boy, when they fall,
when they fall, it's going to be
hard.
big, baby. 20 years down. So Larry Green actually elects to punt the ball, and this may be the first punt of the evening, I believe, because they have played the ball out on 4th down several times and have scored all the rest. This is their first actual punt of the evening.
And it's a result of Norristown really giving the Bucks pretty good field position, especially since from the very start of the game. And when the Bucks are across, or I keep saying the Bucks now, the Patriots are across midfield, there's really no reason to punt the ball. You're not going to gain that much.
So with 1:20 to play, the Eagles should get the ball back here. Good snap. Eagles come after it. It's a nice end-over-end kick taken by one of the up men who goes down. I'll tell you, that was a nice catch that time. Was that Bobby Davis?
And I think I misread the number. That's my fault. That's not 20, but 23, John Avery.
John Avery, yes. So Avery did a good job to come up and field that ball because it could have taken a heck of a bounce against the Eagles, but his momentum just brought his feet out from under him, dropped him down at his own 42-yard line with 1:12 to play in this ball game. The Eagles down by a score of 31-8. In at quarterback for Norristown is sophomore Chris Blake, getting a little time at the helm of the Eagle offense. Blake, quick drop, ball is tipped. Intended receiver was number 81 for Norristown, Paul Pransati. I hope I said that appropriately. Paul, if not, you have my sincere apologies. Incomplete nonetheless, regardless of the pronunciation. 1:07 to play in the ball game.
I think Chris Blake just found out how big the linemen are in Suburban 1. As his first pass, he looked like he had a clear line to his receiver, and all of a sudden there came a big hand from a Patriot lineman to knock it down.
It's good that Blake gets some game experience here. The pump fake and the sack.
I don't think that's experience he was counting on, though.
That was number 37, Phil Lang, on the sack, and the big loss for the Eagles.
And Chris Blake's parents just said, now we have to wash the uniform. Every Friday, you know, you come home, the uniform's clean, and now we have to wash the varsity uniform.
Well, another former Norristown Eagle is playing football tonight. Steve Bono leading the Kansas City Chiefs in the other Monday Night Football game tonight. And, you know, he got to spend some time on the bench at another team that he played for in the NFL. Little play-action pass. Blake falling, delivers the completion to the outside. First down to number 24, Dan Milligan. I'll tell you, Blake, I don't know how he did it, but he was falling to the ground as he delivered that pass. Nice tight spiral, though.
Well, there's some promise. I mean, you see a little bit of arm strength there, and sometimes that's all it takes to be a quarterback and add a little bit of excitement to an offense. And a great adjustment by Milligan. I mean, obviously, Blake just throws it out there, and it's all Milligan's adjustment that makes that play happen. And
then they fumble the exchange. I believe Blake recovered it, but time is running down here, folks. It's only 10 seconds to play, Walt. May not get off another play. 3, 2, 1. They get the snap. Oh, well, sorry, Chris. Blake trying to stop the clock before he gets another play off, but that was the last play. But he did it emphatically, and good job by Chris Blake in the minute and a half he got to play here today. 1 completion. Game is over, though, folks. 0 left on the clock. And maybe that was a good final pronouncement for this game. That must be how all the Eagles feel after this game.
It's over. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. Final score, folks, 31-8. The Patriots of Central Bucks East really put it to the Norristown Eagles tonight here at Roosevelt Field. And, boy, if you didn't see East or West play this year, either in person or with us on TV, if you know anybody who didn't see them, tell them they missed something, because you obviously saw East tonight. Great football teams, and I think we're going to see East and West matched up for the league championship later on this season. Folks, we'll be back in just a moment to recap this ball game for you. Final score here, once again, folks, 31-8. The host Eagles taking a bit of a beating here at the hands of the Patriots from Central Bucks East. And, Walt, simply pure domination by Central Bucks East tonight. The Eagles really never in this ball game.
That's right. Even a 31-8 score doesn't signify how dominant the Patriots were tonight. Norristown did manage a late touchdown there on a big run by Lofton Thompson, but really just complete domination on both sides of the line by the Patriots.
And the big size, obviously, the factor. The Patriots coming into this ball game just overmatched the Eagles on each line of scrimmage, and that was certainly evident here this evening.
That's right. Their line average is 250. That's their offensive line, and that's the 5 men up front. And then Greg Pennical is their tight end, and he goes 230 and is a good pass catcher to boot. So there's really not a lot you can do when they come in with 2 guys on the side of the line. Josh Mitchell at 270, who's committed to Penn State, and Mike Moosberger, 280, also a Division I prospect. Just big, physical, quick, all-around excellent linemen, sort of what we saw with Jeff Fisk last year, but possibly even better. So it's really tough when you come in against a team like that and you're a little bit undersized. There's not a whole lot you can devise to stop that.
And a real solid running game behind that big offensive line with Fitchko and Scott. Really a nice diversity. Fitchko, the guy who could really hit the hole fast. Scott, they like to take you outside, turn the corner, and he did that effectively tonight as well.
Well, Fitchko carries a load, but he's not all that big a guy. I mean, he's 185 pounds, which sounds fairly good size, but when you look at some of the other running backs around, that's really not. But surprisingly enough, he does all of his running inside. When they want to go outside, they went to Brian Scott. And the depth at running back, and a lot of teams in this league, and Central Bucks East has so much depth. They can go inside, outside, and then pound you with their fullback, Adam Ratcliffe. So really just a mix-up and a great running back in Fitchko, and the diversity was just too much for Norristown to handle.
After this ball game, then, East still undefeated, 6-0 overall, 5-0 in Suburban 1 League play, and they're on hopefully for them, a season-ending game against Central Bucks West up there at War Memorial Field in Doylestown. The Bucks also undefeated to this point in the season, and that could really be a super ball game. You know, we've talked about it a couple times during the game, but if you're a football fan, that's a game to go see. It's certainly every reason to believe that both teams will reach the end of the season undefeated, although you never know. This league can surprise you. Teams can sneak up and bite you.
Right. There's North Penn out there lurking next week for the Central Bucks East Patriots. And there's some other teams out there that are really looking to make their statement and make their move up just by knocking one of these teams off this year. But as of now, they're on a collision course for November 2nd, and you're going to see two great teams, disciplined, with all the talent in the world, two teams that can really play the game of football, and they have developed their programs tremendously.
And this season, unfortunately, the Eagles heading in the opposite direction. Norristown with only one league win. This loss takes them to 1-4. Actually 1-4 overall, is that right?
1-4 in the league.
I'm sorry, 2-4 overall.
They managed to win against Westchester Henderson, but even that was a struggle, so maybe that set the tone for the season this year.
Well, Norristown does have one home game remaining, folks. We encourage you to come out and support the Eagles. They play on Friday night, October the 18th, against Harry S. Truman. Got several other road games, including, I believe it's Council Rock next week, and after Truman, they also have
it's Pennsbury and then the North Penn Knights to finish up. And if you remember last year's North Penn game, that was a battle, and those two teams always go close just because of the geographic rivalry. So if you can travel up to North Penn, I would, because those are exciting games.
Well, folks, a tough season and a tough game this evening for the Norristown Eagles, but I'm sure Roger Grove will regroup the troops and come out next week as they travel to Council Rock, and we hope to see you again here at home against Harry S. Truman. We want to thank, of course, the Norristown Area School District for bringing you this ball game, Mr. Tony Koya, the Director of Communications, Sam Galbraith, who directed tonight's production, Garrett Hickman and Jimmy Serator for running camera, Greg Fry for handling statistics, and for Walt Fry, I'm Jeff Brandon. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you once again here on the Norristown High Cable Access Channel.